Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with Confessions of an Ebayaholic, and this week on eBay I've scored myself the Marvel Legends Captain America Red Skull Bathwave Cottonmouth. He is an example of my impatience getting the better of me as I placed a bunch of lowball bids on loose action figures from this wave, not really expecting to win the auctions. So I ended up placing a pre-order for the full case with an independent toy retailer online, and then won Cottonmouth anyway. So when my case arrives, I'm going to be doubling up on Cottonmouth here, but consider this video a prelude to my reviews of figures from that wave. Yet Cottonmouth may look familiar to you from the previous wave of Marvel Legends, as he does in fact share that same Hyperion body that Hasbro used for Venom from the Absorbing Man Bath wave. That's a choice when I first saw pictures of Cottonmouth online I found quite jarring, as I am a veteran some years back of my very own Cottonmouth custom, and in completing that I took in plenty of comic art for reference for my custom. From that, he never struck me as a big muscular character, so for my custom I ended up using the slimline Toy Biz Bullseye body. Yet it does seem recent comic art has rendered him much more hulking, and Hasbro's vision is in keeping with that. I do really like the bright vivid purple and yellow of the costume. If any of you have studied art and know colour theory, then you'll know that purple and yellow are complementary colours sitting at opposite ends of the spectrum, so when placed next to each other they create the strongest contrast for those particular two colours. See, Mum and Dad, paying to send me to art school is finally paying off. Then on his chest the costume has the abstract motif of a snake opening its jaws. The line work of that deco, it's pretty crisp around the edges, and the coverage, considering it's white paint applied over purple, it's pretty fair. Taking a closer look at the head sculpt, and it is very reminiscent to me of the sculpting the Four Horsemen have done on the Masters of the Universe line and the various snake men in that line. The Four Horsemen being some of the best sculptors in the toy industry today, so that's a good thing. Yet for consistency I do wish some of the snake scales seen in the surface texture of the headpiece were repeated in the body as well. Not necessarily all over the body, just in places to give the impression of texture. It would have just uniformly tied it all together that little bit more. As it is, the detailed sculpt of the head does make the smoothness of the body a bit too telling of its reuse. As for the face sculpt, I really am quite a fan of this. I love the whited out eyes with the heavy black outline. They convey a sense of menace, and then in the facial expression they're sculpted in there just an overall sense of sinister glee. It conveys perfectly the sense of a supervillain having fun being just that. Then for diversity's sake, I also like that the face sculpt does embody some very strong racial attributes without being a heavy-handed caricature. Yet a nitpick I will make is that you can see the eyebrows in the sculpt, and I do feel like those should have been painted. In the comics, Cottonmouth has a superhumanly strong bite which is able to take further advantage of via the ability to elongate his own jaw. You know, like actual snakes do. It's a power that I was very conscious of conveying when I created my own custom Cottonmouth, and I think it's a missed opportunity that Hasbro didn't include a second interchangeable head illustrating that power. I'm sure Hasbro would cite budget restraints, but its inclusion would have certainly made this a more exciting action figure, and frankly without it you could be left wondering why exactly is that black dude dressed as a purple snake. Now looking at articulation, and his head rotates side to side, he is able to look down this much, then his head hinges thus far. At the shoulder his arms rotate and they move up this far. There's upper arm rotation followed by a double jointed elbow. Then at the wrist the hands rotate and these are also hinge, moving down and then also up. At the waist he has rotation and then an ab crunch which moves this far forwards, and then it also moves a fair good amount back. At the hips his legs move out to the side this far, they move this far forward but don't really move back. There's upper leg rotation followed by a double jointed knee, then there's rotation at the mid calf there, and then at the ankle his feet are hinged moving backwards and forwards, and he has that crazy ankle rocker pivot that I love. And now taking advantage of that ankle pivot, with this being his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. So all things considered, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by Cottonmouth. I never expected to like him this much. I mean, really, he could represent Hasbro's penny-pinching effort of just sticking a new head sculpt on a redecoed old body, yet that head sculpt has been executed with such life to it that here I feel like I am actually buying a new character and not just buying the same action figure over again. Of course, Cottonmouth is part of the Serpent Society, a big group of snake-themed villains, and when I say big group, I mean big, as when I did customs of them, I made 16 and still didn't get around to completing the full roster. Which leaves me surprised that Hasbro are willing to open this can of worms, or snakes I suppose, as their track record with completing teams, it took them what, 4 years to complete the Wrecking Crew, which had just 4 members. Anyway, click the video on the left if you missed the previous episode of Confessions of an Ebayaholic featuring the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Noir. Alternatively, take a trip down memory lane and check out my Serpent Society customs by clicking the video on the right, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.